Belt and Road Initiative is a global infrastructure development project implemented by the Chinese government in 2013, and it's considered the key foreign affairs policy of President Xi Jinping. Its primary purpose is to develop better road, rail and sea connectivity around the world and building mutual trust and understandings between nations. In 2018, the Victoria government signed a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese government to explore investment projects of mutual interest. But it's not a legally binding document and no projects have actually been agreed to so far, and there's no guarantee that any projects in the future will be developed. It's just a memorandum of understanding. Is the Belt and Road Initiative a good idea for Australia? Here's what Scott Morrison said in June 2019.
We would be mugs. Mugs, only harming our own economic interests if we were to deny our economy access to this capital. That is why we operate a non-discriminatory approach to investment screening. And investment screening is not exclusive to Australia. It's done by many countries, most in fact, including China. The infrastructure needs of our region are also enormous, and Australia welcomes the contribution that Belt and Road Initiative can make to regional infrastructure, investment and to regional development.
He did seem to think that it was a very good idea at the time, but now Scott Morrison is claiming that he never believed in the Belt and Road Initiative, never supported the Victoria government's decision, and now wants to remove the right for the states to be able to engage with Belt and Road initiatives. Aside from the issue of needing to fact-check virtually everything Morrison says, it seems he's more intent on scoring political points against the Labor government and engaging in some China bashing that is going against Australia's national interest. What's going on here, David?
We've got a government who is very much pro-America in terms of how our foreign relations should work. America first. All the way with LBJ and John Curtin's We Turn to America, even though that was to very different forms of America in a very different world. We have an American president, Donald Trump, who is, for reasons that haven't really been articulated, wanting a trade war with China. I presume a trade war so that he can knock China from its position of growing influence. Now, America is still, I believe, the biggest manufacturer in the world. A lot of people don't quite understand this. What America manufactures, though, are things like 747s, ocean liner ships, luxury cars, stuff that those of us who run podcasts can probably afford but choose not to. China, however, makes a whole range of household equipment, and it makes a lot of money from that. Now, the Chinese government, of course, is a problematic government, as most governments in the world are. I speak from Australia, where we have a far from perfect government. Nonetheless, it's our biggest trading partner. I think that the powers that be would like to go back to trading with England, particularly now that Britain is in dire need of trading partners. I think they'd like to trade with America. I think they'd like to trade with South Africa. I think they'd like to trade with maybe Europe, Western Europe. There may be a pattern there. I'm not going to go so far to say there is, but for those of you who look for patterns, you might see one. I think it's insanity to side with one. A lot of foreign relations, of course, is walking very fine lines between opposing allies, and that they don't oppose you, but they oppose each other. A lot of foreign relations, of course, is dealing with governments whose values we may not fully agree with.
Well, every country has got a right to choose its trading partners. There's no issue about that unless there's international sanctions or there's other aspects that are in play there. But overall, this announcement about the Belt and Road initiatives, it just seems to be another one of Morrison's bizarre backflips where he totally denies that he actually said something when he actually did. But I guess what is being overlooked here is the national interest and the inconsistency in foreign policy matters, which is not a good thing for Australia. Just backtracking a little bit, in 2015, the Country Liberal Party in the Northern Territory, they established a 99-year lease of the Port of Darwin to a company with close links to the Chinese Communist Party. Now, I did look that up, and the deal is worth $506 million for those 99 years, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's actually only $5 million per year, and that's quite a cheap deal. And it also landed the former Liberal Minister, Andrew Robb, with a job with that particular company worth $800,000 per year. And And he actually took that on while he was still in Parliament. If Morrison was serious about his concerns about the Belt and Road Initiative, he'd cancel the Port of Darwin lease. He's more concerned about petty party-based politics and creating political problems for the Labor Party at a time when he should be focused on managing the coronavirus and looking after the national interest. And governments do need to be careful about the international reach of the Chinese government and the influence in key regions around the world. But we can't have a situation where one program is deemed to be in the national interest just because it's created by the Liberal Party and another one is deemed not to be in the national interest just because the Labor Party initiated it. It's not a sign of leadership and it's not in the national interest.
A very senior person who was involved with the sell-off of the electricity, I better keep them anonymous, told me there were arguments for the sell-off of the electricity retail in New South Wales. And this person said, in the worst possible case, you can build a new electricity grid. If things go pear-shaped and it falls into foreign hands because it's been sold off again and they become hostile foreign lands, it's a problem, but you can work around it. When you sell off a port, there's nothing you can do. If we were to go to even a proxy war with China, and over 100 years, anything is possible. In 1918 or 1919, people genuinely believed that you wouldn't have any more major wars. That lasted 20 years. Anything is possible in 100. Look at the difference between 1820, 1920 and 2020. The 3 years are completely incompatible to each other. So 2120 will have a different. Now, it's highly possible that we will retain very friendly relations with China over the long term and that nothing will happen. It's possible that the whole nation state system will break down. And it's possible that the great Pastafarian God will return and we'll all be sent home for dinners. Anything can happen. Selling off the Port of Darwin, our northernmost important port, and it's a world port too, was utter stupidity. Then trying to seem like you're picking a fight with the people who own it doesn't seem to me to be the smartest thing you can do. And I don't think we've got subtle figures who will be able to walk both sides of the road, as the saying says.
Well, foreign investment, that can be a good thing, but it's got to be beneficial to... Well, there has to be a good exchange both ways. And if you are going to do a good deal, well, you just extract every penny you can out of that government that you're selling it to, or the overseas conglomerate that you might be selling it to or leasing it to. And it's just not the Liberal Party that does this, but it seems like governments of all persuasions are very happy to sell off Australian infrastructure for a song overseas. Like the $506 million deal for the Port of Darwin, that's $5 million per year over the next 99 years. $5 million in 100 years' time, that will be your average salary by then.
I'm hoping that the Chinese can stretch it out in Australia's best interest. I don't expect that. I wouldn't expect that of any government, but you never know. It does happen from time to time.